my fault. There was a queue for the loo. I'm so sorry. I do apologise.
Sorry, we are apologising.
No, it's the fan, it's all of yours.
It's your friends outside that has caused this. I'm terribly, terribly sorry. All right, well.
Anyway, let's welcome our stars of British Horror. And other things. We have Pauline Peart, Martine Beswick, Carolyn Munro, everyone knows them, and Ian Ogilvy. Thank you guys for coming. They've been waiting. They kept asking me, where are they? They're coming, they're coming. So, thank you for coming again, because I know it's kind of crowded in the corridors and you have to navigate and such. But I wanted to do something a little different. We've done this, Martine and Caroline and I, a couple of times over the years, different hotels, etc. And I wanted to hit a couple of different films instead of the usual ones, but there might be the usual ones in those. So Caroline, first question. I know you're often asked about Dracula AD 1972 and Hammer and all that, but I want to ask about Captain Kronos, Vampire Hunter. And as much as you can squeeze in a good amount of time, your memories of working on that film.
Just to say thank you all for coming to see us firstly. You're a wonderful bunch. You've made us feel, all of us feel so welcome. So yes, thank you for the question. Captain Kronos. I think for me, it still remains one of my favourite films. I liked it insofar it was a British film, Hammer. And it kind of came left of field. It wasn't the normal. It wasn't a lot of. It was a very esoteric film, so it wasn't a lot of blood and bosoms and things like that. It was kind of off kilter. But I think in a really good way. And we had Brian Clements at the helm, who did an amazing job of directing. And it was his first, and I can't believe this, and I'm sure you can't. It was his first and only film he directed, because he was a fantastic writer. So the Avengers and Persuaders and extraordinary pieces of work. So I loved doing that film, not only because it took me 15 minutes to get ready. I drive like a mad thing in my Mini Cooper to where did we do it? We did it at Elstree, and so I drive there, get there. The hairdresser would say, "Have you washed your hair today?" I said, "No." And they'd say, "Good, you must not wash your hair for 2 weeks. We need it looking really scruffy and dirty because you're a gypsy," which I was. So, and they smudged a bit of mud on my face and stuck a gown on, and I wore the same outfit every day, and bare feet. So it was kind of easy that way. I worked with wonderful Horst Janssen, who played my Kronos, very dashing, wonderful swordsman, German actor, John Cater, and who was our lovely Marcus? Trying to remember. John Carson. So we had a great cast, really super English actors, but it wasn't particularly very well received at the time. But I think it's gained legs, and I think it's a brilliant piece of work, and fantastically shot, and really well done.
Oh yeah, it's turned into a major cult film. How many people love Captain Kronos? Martine, as a seasoned Bond woman, with memorable appearances, obviously from Russia with Love and Thunderball. Can you comment briefly on working with Sean Connery and having worked on both those Bond productions? There's a couple of years in between them. What would be a memory of the change between, I believe it was 62 and then Thunderball, which is like 65? You know, in terms of aspect of how the production grew from that smaller film to a much larger one.
Hello.
Well, first of all, Rush with Love was my first sort of big deal. And it was, doing the fight was actually fantastic because we did we choreographed it and worked on it for like 3 weeks before we actually did it. And they did that because they wanted to, and parents wanted to do a handheld, clever man, God, I loved him, handheld camera coming in and really getting it, because it was quite unusual, to say the least, to have two women battling it out. Then when I did Thunderball, and the only reason I did Thunderball was because Terence, actually I met Terence for originally Dr. No, and the problem was that he took one look at me. I was very young, I had no experience, and he said, go get some experience. He said, I have an idea for you, you're too young for this. So that's when he brought me in for Russia with Love. And then right after that, 2 years later, he absolutely fought for me to do Thunderball, being that Paula Kaplan was an island girl. That's me. I am an island girl. I'm from Jamaica. And he said, you can't have anyone else. You've got to have it. And he fought and fought because they did not want somebody who had done it before. They were not allowing it. But he won, I won, we all won. And working, and actually Thunderball was amazing. I mean, it was actually the zenith of Bond, because the entire world arrived in Nassau. It was absolutely mind-blowing, really. It was huge. That's all I can say. It was really huge. And working with Terence, who I absolutely adored, and also Sean, I mean everyone. I'm still best friends with Luciana. I haven't seen Claudine, but best friends with Luciana. It was just a great experience. And in fact, it's not just my experience at Thunderball or Rush with Love, but if you talk to or see other Bond girls, and I like Bond girl, forget the Bond woman thing, rubbish. So, you know, we're Bond girls, we're happy to be Bond girls. And so when you talk to any of the other Bond girls, each of us, this is what brings us together, is each of us have had the most extraordinary experience being in these films. So it's a phenomenon, and I'm very happy to have been a Bond girl, and obviously, since we're forever, still a Bond girl.
That's a great answer. Pauline, can you recall how you got the role for Satanic Rites of Dracula?
Sorry?
Can you recall how you got the role for Satanic Rites?
Did you say Satanic Rites?
What was it?
Satanic Rites.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, Satanic Rites was originally called Dracula's Dead and Well in London. Roy Skeggs, the producer, and Alan Gibson saw me, and I was in a play called Birds of Paradise, and they thought I would be really good. Other people did not want to have me, but they insist that I would be right. So I became Vampire Girl. And I had the pleasure of having Joanna Lumley there and many other artists. And with Roy Skeggs just said, look, I don't care what they say, I'm having her. And Alan Gibson said, yes, Lawton had written the play, the script, and he agreed. And I had a wonderful time on the film. And we turned it over within 6 weeks. So it was in, out, get it done, and move on every day. And we had a wonderful time working together as a group. It's the only way that things didn't work on a hammer picture. The ladies here will tell you, you get in, you get the film done, and the filming for that day. You go home, go back again in the early hours of the morning, and they would do that on a daily basis. And so we didn't have a lot of time to fool around, only when we were on set after we rehearsed. And if you know anything about Alan Gibson, you will know that he's Canadian and he's wonderful. You just love to work with him. And Satanic Rites was the last picture made at Hammer. And this is why it's so interesting now, just like the rest of the Hammer pictures that went before it. And that I got it because Roy Skeggs insisted that he had to have me. Yeah, had to have me. So I'm a Hammer girl, a horror girl, and I'll always be. Thank you.
Question for Ian. Appeared on early British television in the 60s. There were quite a few popular shows, smaller roles. And then you did Michael Reeves' film, The She-Beast, alongside Barbara Steele. Do you have any memories from beyond that?
Well, I think we can all agree that The She-Beast is the worst movie ever made in the history of the cinema. It was my first movie, it was Mike Reeves' first movie, and the budget on it was £18,000, which is what, that's $25,000, and we made it in about 12 days. And it's awful, it really is. I'm awful in it. And Barbara Steele, to this day, claims she wasn't even in it. But it was a lot of fun, and it was her first movie, and we were all learning on it, and several people have brought the cover of it. It's now apparently on DVD, which is really a bad idea. We should not watch this film often. Anyway, it was great fun to make, of course. We were in Italy, and I think I was paid $50 a week or something for it. Yes, but it was an experience, and I learned a lot from it, but I look at it now. Well, no, I don't look at it now. I avoid it now. That's my answer about The She-Beast.
Thank you. Back to Carolyn, at the Earth's Core. Amicus film?
Amicus.
With Peter Cushing. Certainly has its following. In the last 15 to 20 years, I've seen that movie become more and more beloved as time goes on. What do you recall about that movie with those great, crazy-looking dinosaurs and such?
Well, it was, I don't know, I hate to say this, but it was men in suits. I don't know if you knew that. Nudge, nudge, wink, wink. But no, I don't know how they did it, because they were so hot, and we were at Pinewood, and we shot everything in the studio. But we were like the Musketeers, because we had the wonderful Peter Cushing, and we had Doug McClure. So it was kind of sublime to the, you know, it was a great team. We went to work. I went to work with a smile on my face, because I knew I was going to work with these two super professional men. And then it was in the middle of winter. Of course it was in the middle of winter, and we were all rushing around, and you've done that, we've all done that, in bits of nothing. I was a princess, though, I was a princess. But at the Earth's Core, it was just a delightful project to be on. I remember one particular scene that we, Doug and I had to do, and Peter was going to come in and rescue us with his trusty bow and arrow. Peter was props. Peter always brought his props. Did you work with Peter? You did. Always had his props. He was just an extraordinary actor and a lovely human being. But we had to do this scene, I remember, and it was, we had to jump across a kind of a ledge thing, Doug and myself, to escape these mayhaws, these flying mayhaws, men in suits, with these mystical powers. So the director, Kevin Connor, said, I think you should, we've got stunt doubles for you, because this is quite tricky, you know, it might be quite difficult. We looked at each other, we said, no, we'll do it. We want, you know, we want to make it look real, we'll do it. Silly fools. Anyway, so we rehearsed it without the fiery beastie. Now we had the man with the suit on, and beside him there was this massive, great flamethrower thing, which was meant to kind of come up and scare us a bit. Well, that was fine. Okay, we didn't rehearse it. Kevin said, right, we're going to shoot it in one shot. So I remember we leapt across and we were doing whatever we were doing on the rock. I mean, it was a children's film, by the way, so no, we weren't doing anything, but we were escaping, that's what I mean. We were escaping. And then suddenly I heard the special effect, because we were doing it mute at that point, and then the special effect turned everything on, and the fiery beastie shot this massive, huge health and safety flame right at us. Our hair, even Doug's hair, stood on end. And the screams that came from both of us were the real thing. We were very hot. And Peter got out his bow and arrow and shot the bow and arrow, shot the beastie. But needless to say, we only did one take, and that's the take they took. And if you look at the film, you can see the sweat is real, the fear is real, and the screams were real. So that was. But Peter was superb. He came to our rescue. So I loved that film. It's a children's family sweet film. Happy memories.
A fun movie.
Yes,
it is.
Thank you.
Another fun movie, Martine, Prehistoric Women.
Now, excuse me, Ian. You think you did the worst? No. Yes. This was literally all shot in fact, how it happened was because I was on Million Years BC, and the day that I met Michael Carreras, who became a great friend. He was hilarious. Anyway, we met and he said, I want you to be my queen. And I went, ooh, okay. So he said, no, I've written something and I want to direct it. And it was originally called Slave Girls of the White Rhinoceros. Okay, just to tell you. Then it became Prehistoric Women. So we started doing this, and I mean, I was like the evil queen, and with all these, I said, I'll do it. This was my thing. I said, of course I'll be your queen. However, I want to wear makeup, and I want a new bikini. I want a new fur bikini. Well, it was designed by a very top designer called Carl Tom, who has won a whole lot of awards on Broadway, everywhere. I didn't know this. Anyway, he designed this fabulous thing for me. And we shot it all on the redress sets of Million Years BC. You know, we had a long shoot, it was 6 weeks, and we probably didn't get very much money, but I embraced it, and because Michael Carreras was just such a fantastic friend, we had a lot of laughs. I mean, there was just every time I turned around, he would do things like, there would be a big bowl, and there were all these sort of little blonde virgin things, and they would have to be, you know, beating things, and every time you turn around, there was some kind of phallic symbol. And you know, I mean, excuse me, the rhinoceros on wheels. The horn. Yes, the horn. The rhinoceros on wheels with his horn. We had to stroke the rhinoceros horn. So every time this came up, you know, he'd say, no, Michael would go, no, this is how I wanted to do it. In fact, I have a photograph somewhere of him telling me how to stroke the rhinoceros horn. And the two of us collapsing in laughter. And this went on. I said, oh my God, not another one, darling. And he'd go, I'm telling you, all you need to do is this. And I went, okay. This went on for the entire entire shoot. But I actually loved doing it. I really did. I mean, I danced and I killed and I did everything, and I said lines that were all about being a woman of greatness and independence, and I mean, it was unbelievable. It was unbelievable rubbish. Absolute unbelievable rubbish. But Lordy, I had such a good time.
I'm bothered about the horn. What was the significance of the horn?
Oh, stop. You know exactly. Don't let me go on.
And how many times did you stroke that?
Many times. Oh, hello. Wasn't it working very well? Didn't you hear it?
I think it was.
What a shame. Well, all you had to see was this.
So, Pauline, I have a question about Carry On Girls.
Oh, yes.
One of the later Carry On films, nearly one of the last Carry On films.
Carry On Girls. I did Carry On Girls because I had a friend also who had worked with prior, which was Jack Douglas and Bernard Breslow. And when I was told that Jack was going to be in it, I had already known Barbara Windsor. I said, I'll do it. But Jack would do things like this, and I would be I'd go, and we had to do a second take. And then Alan said to me, you cannot do that. He's going to do this throughout the whole film. And I'd go, and he'd be beside me. And I had a scene where I had to wear this fantastic gown, and he was standing beside me. And just as we got out on the stage, supposed to be walking down this podium and that, he did one of those. And that finished me, because while doing that, he sort of tripped me. And I went flying down the podium on my backside. And, oh, it was classic. And someone from upstairs was supposed to have thrown some itching powder on us. And
So mean.
yes, and I had to be doing this, and people were doing this everywhere, all the contestants in that film. It was horrendous. And then they said, could you do it again? We need another take. And I went, don't do it. I think you have the best one you're going to ever get. Don't do it. I mean, for a start, I had to pull someone's wig off. It's going to take another hour to get it put back on. And I went flying with the hair in my hand and my leg up there, and other people. Valerie Leon was in the scene as well, being the proper wife. And she went flying down the stairs too. And it seems like we just kept crashing into each other. It really was. And there were more knickers being shown that they had to cut and take a shot from behind so that they didn't have to see all of that coming down, and the legs up in the air and the hair going this way and that way, and tits fell out. Yes, they didn't. So in the photo shoot, after all that commotion, we had to stand beside a donkey. And that promotion shoot was nothing but absolute chaos, because the donkey, they said it was tame. It was, all you had to do was stroke it nicely, and he would stand there and not do anything. Well, lo and behold, that damn donkey did do a lot. He went, and someone went flying, and a chap laid on the ground and held his back hind leg. So we could then stand there and pose for this picture looking really nice while he held the foot, and that was it. That's all I'm saying. I'm not going to commit to any more. I'll never forget it. So there you go. That's how that donkey scene with all these lovely ladies are in that picture. That went out. That's it.
Lucky donkey.
Yes.
You know, I wish we had like 4 hours with these people. I have so many fun questions, but I have to keep track of time here. So I'm going to jump around. I was going to ask you about a lot of other things, but I wanted to make sure I ask you about Return of the Saint.
Yes.
After Roger Moore, everybody knows Roger Moore had done the original Saint television series for a long time. But they brought it back with you. So what can you tell us about that? How did you get that?
Well, apparently, I did a show called Upstairs Downstairs, which was quite famous. And I played a very weak, ineffectual character in Upstairs Downstairs. And apparently Bob Baker, who was the producer of the original Saint with Roger Moore, and also the producer of the one I eventually did, Bob Baker and his wife were watching television one night, and Upstairs Downstairs was on, and his wife pointed to the screen and said he'd be a good Simon Templar. Which is odd, really, because the character was so awful and so pathetic, you know, you think it was about as far away from Simon Templar as possible. But, of course, the answer is I look a little bit like Roger Moore. There's no question about it. And some people say I even sound a bit like him. I think it's because we have the same shaped face, you know, the sound is the same. Anyway, so it was as easy as that. I didn't have to audition or anything, I just got the job. But it was many years later, it was many years after Roger had finished, before we did the second version, and it was because the producer, Bob Baker, spent all that time trying to get somebody to invest in it, really. But it was an easy job to get. I just got it, and that was it, really.
Did you ever discuss it with Roger? Did you guys ever meet, and did it ever come up?
Well, I think Roger by that time had rather lost interest in it, really, because he'd done it for a very long time. He sent me a telegram on the first day of shooting saying, "Great good luck, and just remember, hit the lines and say the marks," which is an old actor's joke. You're supposed to hit the marks and say the line. I then met him halfway through filming in Italy, and we spent a very drunk night, me and some of the crew and Roger, and we all got to bed at about 4 o'clock in the morning. And I had to shoot the next day, and I woke up with this horrible hangover, and I went outside, holding my head, and next to me the lighting cameraman was holding his head, and we were feeling horrible. There was Roger across the parking lot saying, "Hello, good morning, it's a wonderful day." And he looked about 12 years old, and obviously was much better at holding drink than I was. He was very nice, Roger. He was always very encouraging, but he didn't come and interfere, and he didn't spend any time with us. So I really only ever met him a few times, but it was quite something taking over from him. It was his show entirely. The nice thing was there was a big gap of about 10 or 11 years between the end of his show and the beginning of mine, so it wasn't quite walking into his shoes, really.
I really like that show, and I'm a great fan of British television productions like that, The Persuaders and The Protectors, and so for me, it's great that you came here. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. I'm delighted to be here. I'm having fun.
We are running really tight on schedule, even though we went over. I think we have time for about 3 questions from the audience.
Okay, for Carolyn, a different movie. You did a Ray Harryhausen Sinbad movie. How does that compare to your other work?
Oh, I was so lucky to be involved and to be invited to do Golden Voyage. And that was really by Brian Clemens, who was the writer, the screenplay writer of Sinbad. He was the one who lobbied for me to get the role of Mariana. and they didn't want me. The producers said, no, 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 we need an America, we want Raquel Welch, we want a name. And, you know, I didn't have a name, but Brian kept on saying, yes, she's the one, she's your Marianne. And luckily, I was chosen to do it. And working with Ray was a pure joy. He'd direct all the special effect sequences by himself, insofar as he'd use a big stick. That was our eye line. We had nothing to work with, no creatures, obviously, because they were all put on after. It was all stop motion, put on after, which took him a year single-handedly. But he was extraordinary to work with. I really adored that man. And I'm quite affiliated with his foundation, and they're doing such wonderful work for young people, young filmmakers, and you know, future people in special effects and things. I had the joy to work with John Philip Law, your wonderful John Philip Law, Blind Angel in Barbarella, and also Akura, who was Tom Baker, who got the role of Doctor Who via Sinbad. So yes, it was a joy. I'm trying to wind it up because I know you haven't got much time and other people can have a go.
One more question.
Joyous.
Is there another hand? Yes, you would not?
Yeah, I just wanted to ask you ladies in particular, you probably had to go through a lot of adversity on the set. Even though it was fun, you say it was a great time, but of course you've had difficult times, you know, with the itching powder and whatnot. What did you tell yourselves to overcome those little moments or those moments of adversity? How did you overcome those and tell yourself to keep going in those situations?
Well, you just had a damn good grumble. Yes. You just had a damn good grumble, and you bitched and moaned, and then you got on with it. Really, it's very British, that.
It is.
And you didn't have the time to waste, and you had to just get on with it. And if not, they say, let's do another shoot and another take, and that's it. It's going to be one take, or it's two, and that's it. And you get up, you brush your behind off, and you start all over again. And you smile. Or laugh a lot. Yes, you've got to laugh a lot. And in fact, all of us, so you heard from the stories, every one of us have had damn good laughs. Yes. Right? I mean, no matter how serious, we've all had a really good time. So in adversity.
Okay, we're going to have to kill this one. Thank you so much for coming. They are going to be. They are going to be in the oxygen room, I believe it is. So please, if you haven't been there yet, go there. I'm sure they'll discuss things with you. Thanks again.